15 Strangest Facts About the Titanic. Over 100 years ago, on April 15, 1912, a giant luxury passenger ship deemed to be unsinkable hit an iceberg and sank off in the middle of the ocean. Though it claimed more than 1,500 lives in total, it would take over 70 years for the ship's wreckage to finally be found, and many more years to uncover the full story of the tragedy. Now, over a century later, the Titanic sinking is still one of the most fascinating stories in history and has inspired many movies, books, and research about its tragic and mysterious tale. But how much do we really know about the secrets of the Titanic and those who died? In this video we've gathered 15 of the strangest facts about the Titanic. Number 1. Self-sacrifice. First-class passenger John Jacob Astor was willing to die for saving others. When it was clear the ocean liner was sinking into the freezing Atlantic, Astor loaded his loved wife Madeline into a lifeboat. According to an eyewitness, just as John was about to get in beside her, he saw a horrible sight. Behind him were two horrified children still in need of saving. Unwilling to abandon people in need, John Astor stepped aside and gave up his place in the boat to these children. Number 2. People who died on the Titanic even were put into operation. During the 2 years construction of the Titanic at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, 28 serious accidents were recorded and 8 workers were killed. That was a smaller number than expected for the time, which was 1 death for every 100,000 pounds spent. As the Titanic cost £1.5 million to build, 15 deaths could have been produced. Most of the 8 were killed by injuries acquired from falling either from the ship or the staging surrounding it. James Dobbin, a 43-year-old shipwright, was actually killed on the day of the Titanic's launch. At 12 o'clock noon on 31 May 1911, an estimated 10,000 people watched as the massive ship slid from the yard onto the River Lagan. Dobbin was crushed during the timber removal which had been holding the ship upright. Number 3. A full moon may have caused the tragedy. Researchers believe that a full moon unusually close to Earth may have contributed to the sinking of the Titanic. That full moon on January 4, 1912 may have created unusually strong tides that sent a squadron of icebergs southward just in time for Titanic's inaugural voyage. That was the closest lunar approach to Earth since the year 796. Number 4. Optical illusion. The atmosphere on the night of the sinking perhaps made it difficult for the crew to spot the iceberg and for other ships to spot the Titanic. Atmospheric conditions in the area that night were terrible. This extraordinary inflection of light caused a mirage, which was recorded by several ships in the area. It also prevented the Titanic's lookouts from seeing the iceberg in time, and the freighter Californian from identifying the ship and communicating with it. Number 5. Prediction of the sinking of the Titanic. In 1898, Morgan Robertson wrote The Wreck of the Titan, a novel about an enormous ship called the Titan, which hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sinks. And like the Titanic, the Titan has far too few lifeboats on board, which lead to many deaths. Later, Morgan R. would be called a clairvoyant, but he rejected the title. Well, if you found this fact fascinating, then you are going to love what we are about to tell you. Talking about predictions, there is no denying that The Simpsons cartoons are the longest-running animated comedy series and is the undisputable king of predicting major world events. In 1993, an episode of Simpsons showed that a major viral flu outbreak happens in the world. And to the surprise of most of the people in the world, the symptoms which were shown in the famous TV series were quite the same as that of coronavirus. Not only this, a similar picture was presented in the novel The Eyes of the Darkness in 1981. And shockingly, even the plot of the events in this novel was exactly the same as that of coronavirus. Now either you call it a coincidence or a plot by an evil power, that's totally up to you. Do share with us what you think about this incident in the comments below. Number 6. Victims died of hypothermia. When the ship sank, the temperature of the water was around 0 degrees Celsius. Few would have survived more than 15 minutes in such icy temperatures, and approximately 1 in 5 would have died within 2 minutes. Number 7. Room for 1,000 more. Around 2,200 people were on board when the Titanic sank, but the maximum capacity was around 3,500, and 1,000 would be crew. In 1912, there were approximately 900 crew members, but fewer passengers. There were 324 travelers in first class, 284 in second, and 709 in third. Approximately 1,500 of these people died as the Titanic sank, including the captain. Number 8. One man survived the cold waters thanks to whiskey. Charles John, the ship's baker, survived in the freezing water for 2 hours before he was rescued. He said he didn't feel cold because of all the whiskey he had drunk on the ship. Next time, whoever tells you that too much alcohol is bad, tell them the story of Charles John. Those extra glasses of whiskey surely saved a life though. Number 9. A ship nearby could have saved them. Just 30 kilometers away, the SS Californian ship stopped to avoid the ice. The Californian's captain saw the Titanic's flares, but ignored them because he thought they were company rockets. The Titanic's SOS signals were not received until the next morning because the Californian's radio operator had gone to sleep. By the time they got to the place the next day, all they found were dead bodies. Number 10. Both go down together. Magnates Iciter and Ida Strauss were another rich first-class couple traveling on the Titanic, and they had a heartbreaking end. When the ship started to go down, attendants helped the elderly Ida find a lifeboat, but she refused to leave her beloved husband. Iciter rejected the idea of leaving the ship before the other men. Instead, the couple went down beside each other. Ida said that she will not be separated from her husband, as they have lived, so will they die. Witnesses last saw the couple on the deck with their arms around each other. Their fate remains one of the saddest love stories in history. Number 11. Down with his ship. Captain Edward Smith sank with the Titanic, and his last words were heartbreaking. He said to his men to do their best for the women and children, and to look out for themselves. Smith was last seen on the bridge minutes before the ship sank, and scientists think he must have gone directly under the waves and drowned. Number 12. Newspapers report there were no casualties. On April 16, the day after the Titanic sank, the UK's Daily Mail reported that the ship collided with an iceberg, but no one died. It wasn't long after they realized what a terrible lie they had written. Number 13. The wreck was discovered 70 years before. The Titanic wreck is still 3,700 meters below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. It was discovered in 1985, at which time it was confirmed that the ship had split in two. The task of finding the ship was included in a military operation to survey the remains of some nuclear submarines. The separated two main parts are around 1/3 of a mile apart. Debris from the Titanic covers an area of 15 square miles. Still, many areas of the ship remain unexplored. Number 14. Right ahead. When the chief officer on the Titanic received the iceberg warning, he ordered the navigator to turn the wheel hard to starboard. This was a tremendous mistake. Researchers believed that the ship could have been saved if the officer had not ordered the turn. The Titanic had collision bulkheads in the front, so the ship would have very likely survived a front impact. Experts have stated that the damages from a front collision would have either saved the ship from sinking entirely or else allowed it to sink much more slowly, giving rescuers more precious time to save the people on board. Number 15. The lucky few. For one reason or another, several famous people had tickets for the Titanic but didn't sail on that fateful voyage. George W. Vanderbilt and his wife canceled the journey because someone in their family was concerned that so many things could go wrong on the inaugural voyage. Well, nobody can say they were wrong about that. So, what do you think about this video? Please share with us in the comments section below and hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more of our amazing videos. See you in the next video with another episode of more interesting things in this world. Till then, stay safe and make this world a better place.